Oh, I was going on tour with a bunch of young teenagers. It's called the Academy of Rock. It was created by Paul Green, who created School of Rock some 20 years ago. And I'd actually worked with Paul and the first bunch of musicians in 2002 or three. And we actually 30 kids, well, between the age of 12 and 15. We all got on a bus and started going on tour. It was wonderful chaos. So I was excited to do, yeah, I was excited to do that this summer, but that's not going to happen. But it's interesting that young musicians are really getting better and better. It's very, very true how inspired they are with people like Frank Zappa and Jean-Luc, because they love to play Zappa music. I don't know why. It's just something about the idea and doing Yes music and things like that. So that's where I was heading, and now I'm here drinking a lot of wine.
Oh,
Because I have friends who keep sending me crates of wine, which is wonderful. Thank you very much. I mentioned a little bit about I have a musical friend called Richard, who we were writing songs together, and he kept talking about Jean-Luc Ponty would play on this piece of music we did, and I'd say, have you got his phone number? Because I can speak to Jean-Luc Ponty, that'd be very nice. I think we'd met a couple of times years ago, but I was always a major fan of his work. And so I just got in touch, and we met in the mountains in Colorado to record together a show. Let's put a show together. I mean, this is about 5-6 years ago, I think. Is that right, Jean-Luc?
2014.
Yeah, there you go. And I just had this crazy idea. If we get together with these musicians that work with him, and we put a show together like you do, you know, didn't think twice about the idea so much. And then, you know, we went on the road, and wherever we went, the audiences just loved what we did. And very much like the world that we work in, musicians, that things don't always go exactly the way you want. You know, you have a big dream, and but I could always stand on stage and look to my right and see Jean-Luc playing unbelievable, to me, beautiful, unbelievable music. I think we were doing a dedication to an old friend of mine who just passed away, Chris Squire, bass player with Yes. I said, we'll do this song now, but this is a song for Chris. He's watching from above or over there. It doesn't matter, you know, somewhere. And there was this piece in the middle of the song. I forgot what song it was, but I'd sing this song, and then I say, in rehearsal, I just say, Jean-Luc, go for it. And Jean-Luc would go off on this beautiful tangent, musical tangent, and it was like a miracle for me to hear it every night, getting better and better. I didn't know how he could get so much better. But the musicians he works with are fabulous people, I must say that. So I feel very blessed to have worked with you, Jean-Luc. I always remember playing up in Montreal. The audience just went crazy for the band.
Oh, yeah.
Something about that night, I remember it quite vividly. That
Quebec City.
Quebec City as well. The audiences just loved your work and the musicianship. Everybody could hear the musicianship. Where sometimes you go and play, you know, around America, and you play in a show, and everybody's sort of centering in on me or you or me and you, where the musicians are really, really happening. And it was so well received in Canada. I appreciated that very much. Yeah.
Wow.
If you hold it up a little bit, the cover, you'll see there's a white thing on there. You see the white thing by the floor? That's Tony Kaye's broken foot.
Oh, wow.
Not many people know that. We actually had a car crash 2 days earlier.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
But I was always very grateful to be able to use it. Because, it was very, electronic music at that time. I was studying a guy called Ilan Mimaroglu, quite famous electronic musician at that time in the 60s and then into the 70s. And to be able to manufacture sounds that really hadn't been heard before. And it was a very magical experience for me. Very, very true.
What's the colloquial translation? We are of the sun? Would that be
Yeah, of the
it?
sun, yeah.
Yeah, we are. That's where we're all from. That's the heart of our existence. Would you
We
believe?
are stardust, we are
You'll say-
golden.
Well,
Yeah,
that's the
it.
Joni Mitchell version, but
Oh,
Yeah.
yes, but yeah, you could
that's a
say
little
it.
far-fetched. The sun is closer.
Here comes the sun. Doo, 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 doo. I drove them crazy. I came up with ideas, and then we'd have to sort of mingle things together and give it a whirl. I always say, let's just try it. And eventually we'd try. And of course, most of the time it worked. But I think it was very, as I said before, Jean-Luc works with the creme de la creme of musicians, and they're a wonderful bunch. And I think we just enjoyed that creativity. And then to take it on the road, it was magical. It's probably when MP3 started in 2002, 3, around that time. And I could see people and I'd say, why aren't we in sync? And people would say, oh, well, it's something to do with technology. I said, oh, in 10 years, it'll be okay. So we're 10 years behind, because by now, one would think that technology, with all its money and ingenuity, they should have had everybody in sync around the world in terms of from a musical standpoint, because we're going through this wonderful, crazy time now. We're in sync with each other around the world based on a virus, which is kind of bizarre in a way. This has actually brought us together collectively for the first time in history. And why aren't we in sync? Practice, practice, practice. And everything will come to you, don't worry. And when you were showing Carnegie Hall, I was always told, you know how to get to Carnegie Hall? And I said, no. And they said, yeah, practice. Some brilliant young musicians are around. It's unbelievable. I'm in love. I've got a, what do they call it? Bromance with wait a minute. I'll think about it in 2 minutes. Jacob Collier. So he's one of millions that are out there, believe me.
Yeah.
And the new world is coming anyway. And so we don't need to specifically have record companies.
Yes. It's my studio, Richard.
There you go.
Jean-Luc,
Oh, hi, Jenny.
and his daughter Clara.
Hi.
Janie. My Janie.
Sean McKee sent me,
Oh, Sean. Yeah.
right,
Yeah. Oh boy.
yeah.
I just wrote the song last week, and that'd be great to get you to play on it. Really excellent.
Yeah, it sounds great. So
It needs help.
Help.
No. As I said earlier, the reason this has happened is to bring us all together on the planet, because Mother Earth is fed up. I'm very sick and tired of humans really misusing the earth. And we know all about climate change. And we know a lot about what we can do to help the future of Mother Earth. Because if we don't take care of Mother Earth, then we're not going to be around much longer. That's the truth. And we're very, very capable of making things happen for the better, for the betterment of mankind. I have this chart where I say 10 things to change the world. I should send it to you. It's kind of cool. First of all, we got to share the world. Sorry, I'm shouting now. Sorry.
No, that's good. You're passionate about it.
No,
That's
it's true. It's the only way. You have to share the world, so we all become more equal in how we live and why we live, and the food that surrounds. The waste of food in America is ginormous. compared to the lack of food in most parts of the world. And the sharing of the world is something that will happen eventually. And that's the silver lining for me, that we share the world and we live in a more harmonious understanding of why we're together on this planet. Ta-da! I'm working like crazy creating a large scale piece of music. I don't know why, but that's all I'm thinking about every minute of every day. And I would give it away, honestly. And I just gave away an album that I recorded about 10 years ago. And no, I didn't give it away. It was a gift to anybody who goes to my website. And because it's a lovely album. And I didn't want to go to another record company and say, can you re-release this, please? You know, no, I'd rather give it away. And I would give everything away, to be honest. But don't tell my wife. Me, well, you got to go back to the 50s because, you know, when I was around, I don't know, 10 years old, I was working on a local farm with my brother, and we would sing Everly Brothers songs all the time. And then we got into Elvis Presley and Buddy Holly and all that kind of thing. And at the beginning of the 60s, my brother had a band. And one day he just asked me, would I like to be in the band? We could do some Everly Brothers songs. And he could be Elvis Presley because he wanted to be Elvis Presley. And then in 1963, he had a big motorbike, my brother Tony. And we went to see the Beatles in just near Liverpool. And they had this song on the radio, Love Me Do. And so we went to Southport, which is just north of Liverpool. And we went into this hall, and there's about 500 people listening to this band. And at the end of every song, these girls would scream like crazy at the front, you know. But man, they were an incredible band. They were seriously such a good band. And that's what started me thinking, I want to be a Beatle. And like a million other guys who sang in their bands, you know, you just wanted to be a Beatle. And then you keep going, and you keep going. And like Jean-Luc says, you keep practicing your craft, stage presence and things like that. And that's when, towards the end of the 60s, the 60s was a very, very powerful musical world. As Jean-Luc mentioned, there's so much happening that created so much energy, musically speaking. And that's going to happen this year. This is another year of state of consciousness going to rise through music as it did in the 60s, and probably a lot of drugs as well. But sorry. But, you know, that from then on, I just wanted to keep going. And that's what I did. I just kept going and practicing, meeting the right people at the right time. And like Jean-Luc, I was very interested, probably when I was about 21, I bought, you know, the Planet Suite, and got into, you know, symphonic music for a while, and then evolved, you know, in the 60s. Then the 70s came, and I was listening to Sibelius, and that blew my mind. So Stravinsky and Sibelius were my gods, and still are, you know, how they created that music. And I wanted to sort of inject that into the band, you know, like if you listen to early Yes music, whatever, there's that kind of energy going in and out of rock and roll, symphonic, rock and roll, kind of different styles of music, and creating music. And I always thought I was too old to be a pop star. So why don't we just make really good music that inspires the people? And like you were mentioning about Close to the Edge, and that was the beginning of realizing that as a band, you could go on stage and perform for 20 minutes and not hear a pin drop, you know, and just capture their energy with music that was kind of pretty good. So I just kept going. I'm still going strong, so that's good. I'm very blessed to be a musician.
It works.
Well, you know, I
It
wasn't.
works.
I left school at 14, so I wasn't very schooled in the art of writing. So I would sing something and then try to understand what I was trying to sing about, and I'd write words down and think, oh well, that's interesting anyway. Whatever it is, I like it. And it sounds good, sings very good.
And it can,
I was-
and it communicates, it
Yeah, but
touches,
I was-
yeah,
I was reading Herman Hesse.
okay.
Great read. The Siddhartha, things like
Author,
that.
yep.
Yeah. You just journey to the east, and you realize there's an incredible world out there where everybody, everybody has a sort of connection to God, and it's either through Buddha, Krishna, Muhammad, or Jesus. They're the four big major happenings in our understanding of life, and they're all interconnected. It's all the same thing. It's all the
And
same
we all
thing.
connect very deeply with music in a way that's
That's
beyond
exactly-
understanding, beyond
that's
understanding.
exactly true.
That's why we do this.
The great musician. Ta-da! Is it Rumi? You ever read Rumi, Clara?
Yeah.
The great musician. He calls the divine, the great musician. I bow to the great musician. Thank you. That's who we are. We're part of that evolving wonder. Yeah, can't go back. Got to go
Can't
forward.
go back.
Take care of yourself.
I never
Yeah,
got
yeah, yeah, yeah.